What's up, scholars? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about some of my One Piece predictions for the ending of One Piece. So that's pretty much from this point in Egghead where the story is going to end up, what I think is going to happen, especially given some of the newer information that has been dropped. So while we are waiting for the next chapter of One Piece to come up, I have been thinking a lot, especially since Vegapunk has been dropping some bombs recently, about how this is going to impact the end of One Piece and how One Piece is actually going to end now. Because there's a lot of different ways it could end now, and I'm just gonna be here to talk about it. I know there's so many theories out there. I know so many people have been digging through all of the little things that Oda has left just along the way, and have been bringing them together to make these theories and masterfully craft them together. What I'm gonna do is based off of a storyline, and kind of sort of piecing these things together, but also just speculating a lot on my end on how I can foresee this happening and how I can foresee One Piece ending in a storyline sense and in maybe a practical sense. So it's just gonna be a fun little video. I would love if down below in the comments y'all let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on what you think the ending of One Piece is going to be like. So to get the obvious one out of the way, One Piece is gonna end after we find the One Piece. That's a given. We've we've been building up to this for so long. One Piece is going to end after that has taken effect. So I was kind of getting that very obvious one out of the way. So yes, I still think One Piece is going to end after Luffy and the gang, they find the One Piece on Laugh Tale. But one of my first real speculation is with the information, and obviously this is going to have spoilers for everything that's been happening in Egghead. So if you haven't been in Egghead, especially the last two chapters, 11-13 and 11-14 that have dropped, this is your official spoiler warning. With the idea, the concept that the world is sinking into the ocean, and with what Vegapunk was talking about in chapter 11-14 about him flying too close to the sun and the creation of the Mother Flame, it makes me curious, are weapons like the Mother Flame what is essentially sinking the world into the ocean? Because the effect of the Mother Flame, like we just saw and what he talked about, was that the ocean rose an entire meter after Emu and the elders used the Mother Flame and, destroyed Lulusia. So are weapons like that what is essentially going to be sinking the world into the ocean? So if we stop the production of weapons like that, is that going to be enough to save the world as we know it? Or is it more of a natural phenomenon, a natural occurrence? Because we have seen natural places among the world, like in Water 7 or even Long Ring Longland, where, flooding naturally occurs, but it's only for a time and then the water recedes. That it brings up a lot of speculation, because if the world is sinking due to a man-made power, if that man-made power is stopped, does that in essence save the world? Because if that's a fact, then the Straw Hats fighting against the world government and Emu could essentially put a stop to that, therefore saving the world from sinking into the ocean. However, if it is more of a natural phenomenon and it's not anything we can do to stop it, that leaves the ending of One Piece a little bit more up in the air, because do we all just go to live on the water full time? Do we build cities like Water 7 or Thriller Bark, where it's an entire city but it floats on the water like a giant ship type thing? Or is it more of, do people migrate down to Fishman Island or up above to Skypia? So there's a lot of speculation if it is a natural occurrence, how it'll impact the world and people's decision, to live there, or if it's a scientific power that is making this happen, and we can put a stop to it. I have two thoughts that it could be either or, because we still don't know exactly what happened during the blank history with that original kingdom, and why Joy Boy set out to sea to begin with, why he began his voyage as a pirate, and what that battle entailed. We know there was a lot of very futuristic technology that the First Kingdom had, and Vegapunk has been trying to recover a lot of it, like that giant armor guy, but a lot of it has been lost. So, First Kingdom might have been fighting with the world government and caused itself to sink or something, or their fighting was so extreme that the water levels rose due to that conflict, and maybe the First Kingdom is now submerged in the ocean somewhere, something of the sort. Or, and this is kind of where, well, it could be a natural occurrence where maybe everything submerges for a time, for like a specific amount of time, maybe like 100 years or something like that, where this blank history comes through. Maybe the world sinks for 100 years and then slowly it comes back up and, is good for who knows how long, I don't know. But that would make the idea of the all blue even more plausible, because somebody had to have known or thought about it before. Like, there had to have been something substantial to create this legend, to create this idea of there being water where all four oceans, all four areas are together, are combined. So it could potentially mean that this has happened before in history, whether due to a man-made conflict or whether just a natural phenomenon that has sunk the world before, and that is where the all blue, the whole legend of it came from, is when the world was sunk and all of the waters met together, and then when it all separated again, people have always been searching for that one part of the ocean. But if it happened during the blank history, nobody would know where the all blue was or what happened to it, because nobody knows about that part of history. That's part of my speculation, is it could be either or. So if it's a natural occurrence, that leaves it a little bit more up in the air, because at that point there's not much we can do about it other than just adapt to it. But if it's a man-made conflict, then there's definitely something we can do to stop it from happening. That is one of my speculations about the ending of One Piece. Another part is that I think after Egghead, we are going to Elbaf. Like, we have to go to Elbaf next. And I believe we're going to Elbaf and then potentially to the final battleground, which could be a few places. It could take place on Elbaf and just become a huge war scene. It could be on Mary Joy, up in a higher place, like Doflamingo was talking about, in a higher place. It could be on Mary Joy, that's where this final conflict is going to happen. It could be on Laugh Tale. If the final conflict is on Laugh Tale, it would kind of make sense, because all of the pirates are trying to get to Laugh Tale. No, it's not easy to find, it's hard to find. However, if somebody is being followed, like if the Straw Hats are being followed or something else, other people could be led to it. So there's a lot of different places the final battleground could take place in. Those three seem the more likely to me. I think some of the final battles, we're going to have Luffy versus Emu versus Blackbeard. I don't know if it's going to be a three-way fight, but Blackbeard is going to have to be dealt with here soon, because he's just this huge villain lurking in the background that we know enough about to know he's a dangerous threat and he's a problem that needs to be dealt with, but he's never truly front and center with Luffy. So it's this interesting dynamic, and Luffy has even more of a reason to fight Blackbeard now. I mean, not just because of everything that happened at Marineford with Ace, but with Garp as well. I still am holding true to the fact that Garp is not dead. He's merely resting his eyes. So I think those three are going to have to collide at one point, either Luffy and Emu and Luffy and Blackbeard, or some sort of combination of the three, or something. But I think those three are kind of being set up to be one of the final battles. along with, you know, all the others. So we'll have Blackbeard's crew fighting. We'll have the elders, whichever elders are left after Egghead, if any of them are killed off at Egghead, if any of them, you know, survive, or if all of them survive, and we still have the five elders to deal with on top of Emu, plus the Marines and everything. But I also think at this final battle, Luffy's fleet is gonna show up. I just have a feeling the Grand Fleet is gonna make an appearance with Bardo and Cavendish and the Tontadas. Like, all of them are going to be making this big appearance at the final battle. But with that said, we're also going to see the Revolutionary Army getting involved. We're going to see the Cross Guild getting involved. Like, there's so many different parties that are going to collide here at the end, and it's going to be a massive, chaotic battle. But I think for a time, the Cross Guild will probably fight with the Straw Hats against a common enemy of the Marines or the Elders. And then after that's out of the way, maybe that's when we have to deal with Mihawk, where Zoro gets his battle with Mihawk, Crocodile, and Buggy. I don't know who's going to be the one to actually take on Buggy or Crocodile, but, you know, that'll be an interesting conflict. But I think the Cross Guild might, you know, an enemy of my enemy type thing, to get rid of the elders, to get rid of Emu, and maybe even Blackbeard. And then after that, it's like, okay, what beef do you have? Let's settle this now. So I think that's a very strong possibility of this final part of One Piece, is like all of these parties coming together. I also think with the Revolutionary Army, I think Dragon will appear, and he's going to help fight off the five elders, because we still don't know anything about Dragon. I think Shanks is even going to reappear and maybe start fighting the five elders or something. I think Shanks is building up to something as well, but I think he's going to fight similarly to the Cross Guild. He's going to fight on our side until the time comes where, like, the main threats are out of the way. And then maybe if he has like a one-on-one with Luffy or something, I don't know. But Shanks is going to show up as well. I think Bonnie's going to join the crew. I do think Bonnie is going to be a member of the Straw Hats. I think someone else will have to join the Straw Hats as well, but I'm going to explain why in a minute. I don't know who yet, but I think we're going to have to get another member, or there's going to be an empty position in the Straw Hats. I'm going to make the suggestion, or the wild guess, that by the end of this, Kizaru might switch sides. Kizaru, while he may not join the pirate side, he may just fight against the elders and Emu and then dip. But I can see, with all the conflict that he's been going through lately, I am holding out hope for Kizaru. I'm going to say he might switch sides. I think Aokiji is going to fight against Kobe. Potentially Luffy, but I think it's more Kobe is going to take on Aokiji with all of Garp's crew, because they have the most probable reason to fight against Aokiji at this point. I think that's going to happen. And at the end of all this, when everything is over, I actually believe that Sabo is going to come out of it alive, and he's going to end up being a world leader. He's going to be one of the new world leaders that goes around and, you know, tries to reestablish peace with the world as it's changing. And especially with the toppling of the world government, like, there's going to be a new order to be established, and I think Sabo will be one of the main figures to do that. Probably alongside, I'm going to be guessing, like, Vivi and Sabo are going to be like the two primary leaders, and then we'll have others, like maybe from like Dressrosa, other kingdoms that we visited will kind of join in and kind of maintain some peace from there. I also think Law is going to make a reappearance. Potentially he could help with the battle against Emu. A lot of people have had theories that Emu is immortal. I share that same belief myself, especially with like Law's devil fruit and how it can be used. I'm thinking maybe if the power was used to grant it, maybe the power can be used to take it away. And perhaps Law has found a way, maybe he has a way to take that away from someone. And maybe he takes that immortality away from Emu to give them a fair shot of being able to destroy Emu once and for all. It's a wild theory. It's a little more out there. But I'm just going to say maybe Law can take that power of immortality away. It'll probably at great cost to himself. Don't know the entire implication of what that would do to maybe Law. But we're not going to talk about that right now. But I think he would. He would do it. He would. He would. Even if he tries to act like him and Luffy aren't friends, that are all of this, they definitely are, and I could definitely see Law doing that for Luffy. And I mean, basically for the sake of everybody else in the world, including him and his crew. So those are some of like the main ones. Now I'm gonna get a little more specific here, and I think between the end of Egghead and the end of One Piece, there's gonna have to be a sacrifice to be made by one of our Straw Hats. I have a feeling one of our Straw Hats might die. There's two main possibilities for this in my mind. How I have reasoned it out with the way the story has progressed, the upcoming arc, and just personality base, and again what the story has given us. I think the main two contenders for who this could happen to is either Sanji or Usopp. One of those two, I think, has a higher probability of dying before the story is over. Y'all have no idea how much it pains me to say that. It's not even, oh, well, Oda wouldn't do that, they're fan favorites. Well, they're all fan favorites. Like, let's be real. All of these characters are fan favorites for people across the world. Because that's just first of all, that's just the impact of One Piece. That's just the scope of One Piece. And we've been with these characters for so long. Like, yeah, they're all fan favorites in their own ways. And it's the Straw Hats. Like, you can't imagine one being gone anyway. So it's very difficult. But Usopp, his goal, his dream is to become a brave warrior of the sea. He has made leaps and strides towards that. He has done great things, and there have been times you could call him a brave warrior of the sea. However, with the influence that Elbaf and the Giants have had on Usopp and his connection to them, if he were going to give himself up so that the crew could escape and really show that he was a brave warrior of the sea up until the very end, it would be on Elbaf. So if something happened on Elbaf and they weren't able to get away cleanly, I can see Usopp making that sacrifice and him being like, I was brave until the end. Make sure it's known. It hurts. It hurts so bad to even like put this into words. But I can see that happening to Usopp. I can see that as a plausible possibility for the future, especially if we're going to Elbaf. Elbaf is going to be centered around Usopp a lot. I know it. Elbaf is going to be Usopp's arc. And with that could come a really high moment and then a really low moment. It's possible. So that's one I'm paying attention to. Now, let me be as clear as possible. I don't want anyone besides like the elders and Emu. I don't want anyone. Akainu can go. I'm okay there. But like on our crew, I don't want anyone to go. I don't want anyone to die. Let me just be very clear about that. I will not be okay if any of them die. But from a story progression, I can see it happening, And the other one I can see it happening to, as much as I absolutely despise to say it, is Sanji. It's just breaking my heart even like thinking about it and processing it. But Sanji has had a lot of incredible story progression throughout the entirety of One Piece. His backstory alone, both backstory, he's had two backstories, both backstories, and his mindset shift in Wano and how he never wants to become like his family and that he would rather die than be like them. Yes, a lot of that got resolved in Wano. However, that's not something that just goes away automatically just because, you know, like if you've said you've overcome something, there are still times you're going to have to struggle with it, because just because you're like, oh, I've overcome it, doesn't mean it's never going to rear its head again. Doesn't mean it's never going to pop into your mind or anything like that. It's still something you'll have to handle and deal with whenever it comes back up. But it's still, you still overcome it, if that makes any sense. For Sanji has always, from the very, very beginning, always been a very self-sacrificial person. He has always prioritized everyone else over himself. And yes, the same can be said about most of the Straw Hats, yes. But the extremes that Sanji goes to is different, and I think y'all will understand that. I can see Sanji, and because Sanji often slips away during arcs and we don't often see where he is, we don't often see what he's doing, and then boom, he shows up and something major happens, like he's done something, like when he's in Water 7, in his lobby, even in Skypia he was doing it, like he slips away, he does something, and then it comes back and has a huge impact. And even in Egghead, he's been alone for a while and he's been directing things and kind of getting everything in order, even though he's not with everybody else. So he does a lot of his best work when he's by himself, but that also means if he's by himself, he's often unsupervised and nobody can be there to stop him. And I can see if Sanji came across a situation where if he had to either stall an elder or if he had to do something to let the rest of the crew go, he would definitely sacrifice himself in a heartbeat and let them all live. He would do it in a heartbeat. And because he's had so much story progression and everything, and in a storytelling sense, thematically it would work for Sanji to be the one that doesn't make it. I hate to say that. Like, I hate to say it. But in a storytelling sense, from everything that he's gone through, from his growth and everything, and then to have him reach a peak where he knows the All Blue is out there, but then he himself is not the one to get to go there. It is a trope I've seen done before. It is a horrible trope because it's sad, but it's very effective when used right. And I can see something I can see something happening to Sanji. I can see him sacrificing himself for the crew, whether it be at the end of Egghead, which I'm praying I'm wrong. I could see it being during the actual final war, something like that. But I think between him and Usopp, those two have the highest probabilities of being the Straw Hat crew we lose, or Straw Hat member we lose. And that's why I was saying earlier, even though if Bonnie joins the crew, if one of them dies, that's still going to leave a position open. That's going to leave a void and an emptiness in the Straw Hat crew. And I think that's also going to impact the way they view, finding Laugh Tale and finding the One Piece, and how they view their dreams after that. Because I can see at the end of One Piece, after they find the One Piece, I can see Luffy having his dream fulfilled of finding the One Piece. He's going to be king of the pirates. He is king of the pirates. I can see the dreams of the others being fulfilled with, Nami wanting to draw the map of the world, Robin finally uncovering the history and all the poneglyphs, and I can see all of these dreams being fulfilled when they reach Laugh Tale, uh, when they find the One Piece, when Luffy becomes king of the pirates. I can see all of these dreams getting fulfilled, but then I can also see the dreams of the ones who didn't make it being carried on. Like, for example, I can see Nami carrying out either Usopp or Sanji's dream to be a brave warrior of the sea. Nami sharing Usopp's story everywhere she goes, or for Sanji, Nami goes and finds the all blue for him. And I'm getting sad just thinking about that happening. But it's like I can see the dreams, since dreams is such a central thing to One Piece. I can see the dreams of those who did not make it being carried on by those who did. Because especially as close as the Straw Hats are, I just know they would do it. I know they would. I mean, even if they all went together, I think they would do it. And I think ultimately One Piece is going to end with another adventure. When everything's said and done, when the world is settling down, the aftermath of the battle is over, Luffy is king of the pirates, all of these things that they've wanted are in place. And I can see Luffy and the Straw Hats setting out on another adventure, and essentially the Straw Hats passing down the torch, like passing the flame down to the next generation. And maybe that's how One Piece ends. So it's definitely going to be joyful, but it could be a little somber as well. I think it'll be a mixed feeling whenever One Piece ends. Obviously, for many reasons, because we're going to be happy that this has finally come to fruition and completion, but also sad that it's ending. And I think maybe the way the story progresses and the story ends is going to match those feelings, where the characters are happy but they're somber as well. Like it'll be a mixture where they're happy that their dreams have come true, they're happy that they've made it this far, but they share that sorrow for the ones who didn't quite make it there with them. That's my theory. Those are my theories as of right now. Those are just some of my predictions when it comes to the way One Piece is going to end, both in a storytelling sense, an emotional sense, and just some things that I think could possibly happen in this end saga, this final saga. I am fully preparing myself for Oda, because Oda has led us through the emotional trenches in One Piece several times before, and we know he's not afraid to kill off characters because he's done it before. But I could see him, especially if it's the final war, the final saga, there are going to be casualties, and if he doesn't pull any punches, I can definitely see something happening, and I'm just preparing myself to go through the emotional trenches again. I'm never going to be ready for something, because I'm never going to be ready for something emotional to happen in One Piece, even though I prep myself for it. But I'm just foreknowledge, I know something bad is gonna happen alongside with the good. But those are some of my predictions. Let me know what some of your predictions are down below. I would love to see what y'all think the end of One Piece is gonna look like and how we're gonna get there. It will just be fun to have a little conversation about that. Other than that, next week I'll be back reading the next chapter of One Piece, where probably we'll get a lot more information divulged from Vegapunk, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one, scholars. Bye!